The scene here is Beverly Hills High School. If I had to guess, the boys here seem to lean politically toward Donald Trump. This video was evidently taken by someone named Tyler Mansouri and posted on Instagram. Obviously, they are enjoying themselves upon news that Trump had won the election. On the day prior, they took to the halls of their school and generated a lot of pushback from one teacher and a number of students. You can watch my video reaction here. In this video, we are going to revisit the day before the election and talk about the legalities of their behavior. Is it protected by the First Amendment, or did they go too far? Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Now, I voted for Trump primarily because I hate socialism and couldn't stomach the continuation of the woke nonsense that Madam Cackleberry and her Richard Simmons impersonating sidekick would have propagated. Having said that, I'm not a fan of Trump's uncouth behavior, nor necessarily many of his policies. I mean, the Beverly Hills MAGA kids probably wouldn't like many of my stances toward his candidacy, but I think I can assess their behavior in light of California law fairly. Let's examine what happened the day following the election, where exuberant adolescents at Beverly Hills High School took part in a show of strength. So this is the following day, that is, the day that the public learned that Trump had won. Students are taking their show of strength into the hallways of the campus. One of the MAGA kids apparently tried to enter a classroom. A number of students, mostly black, were huddled inside that classroom with their teacher, worried about what could happen to them if the MAGA kids entered. Some have objected that the MAGA kids should have been in class. However, according to what those students inside the classroom claimed during the following board meeting, this all occurred during lunchtime. I suspect that the students were just hanging out in the teacher's classroom during lunch, which is fairly common. They seemed to enjoy the company of their teacher, who was black herself. This teacher, Bella Ivory, would also complain at the next school board meeting. I have linked a video of the board meeting in the description below. There is no sound on the video, so I have no way of knowing if the kids were noisy or not. However, I find it hard to believe that they were quiet. How realistic is that? Were the kids shouting racist slogans or threats? Probably not. None of the kids inside the classroom who spoke at the following board meeting mentioned anything of that nature. I find it hard to believe that all of them would have overlooked such speech, especially since that would have given them the best argument to discipline the MAGA rabble. What does California law say about such demonstrations? Well, we're in luck, as just last year, the California Department of Justice Office of the Attorney General, which ironically would have been headed by Kamala Harris 6 years prior, issued guidelines that covered events of this type. Let's begin with the Constitution.
The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And Article 1, Section 1 of the California Constitution provides every person may freely speak, write, and publish his or her sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of this right. A law may not restrain or abridge liberty of speech or press. These rights are subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions.
The fact that our free speech rights are fettered by reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions means that we need to see how the First Amendment applies to public schools. Well, that happens to be the next section.
As the U.S. Supreme Court famously said, it can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. Students generally may express their opinions in K-12 school settings, even on controversial subjects, unless their conduct will materially and substantially disrupt the work and discipline of the school or invade the rights of others. Schools generally cannot curtail student speech just to avoid discomfort or inconvenience created by the airing of unpopular views or beliefs. Protected rights in school include not just verbal speech, but symbolic acts or expressive conduct. For example, wearing a patch on a backpack.
Or carrying a Trump flag.
And generally apply both in and out of the classroom. Conversely, bullying, harassment, and threats aimed at teachers or other students are forms of expression that schools generally may regulate, whether the expression occurs on or off campus. California law generally provides students the right to exercise freedom of speech, and schools generally may not discipline students solely because they have engaged in speech that would be constitutionally protected off campus. However, speech that is obscene, libelous, or slanderous, or that so incites students that it creates a clear and present danger of unlawful acts on school premises, violations of school regulations, or the substantial disruption of the orderly operation of the school is prohibited.
So the school will probably try to come back and say, well, this could have incited other students to engage in retaliation. Or they can claim that, well, this disrupted the orderly operation of the school. The principal of the school, in fact, Drew Stewart, stated that while student
political expression is an important tenet, it does have limits. Unfortunately, over the past 2 days, there have been multiple instances of students assembling in a manner that has created a material disruption to the operation of our school, as well as the education of our students.
So he's claiming a disruption of the operation of the school and a disruption of the learning environment. However, I don't see how these students disrupted the operation of the school, although I don't have anything to examine beyond the videos published online. So what is the district's policy toward lawful assemblies? We go to Beverly Hills Unified School District's board policy for student conduct. With regard to freedom of speech or expression, it refers to 5145.2, which is the standard policy number for freedom of speech and expression across the state. However, as you can see here, Beverly Hills Unified doesn't appear to have such a policy, which likely means that it leans on state law in this regard. What about the banning of political attire? The district's board policy doesn't mention anything about this, so the MAGA students are off the hook as far as dress codes are concerned. In summary, schools can limit free expression and punish you for protests or demonstrations, or even just expressing your opinions if your behavior is disruptive to the operation of the school, which would include the learning environment. In this case, the kids waving their flags outside on election day are likely not a problem, although there have been plenty of cases where students were suspended for flying American flags on their trucks. Once the kids enter the hallway, that freedom could evaporate, especially if they were unduly noisy. And under no circumstances should any of them try to enter an occupied classroom, as one kid apparently tried. That could be seen as a disruption of whatever is taking place inside that room. Again, however, all this appeared to have taken place during lunch, and I get the feeling that there was no regular classroom sessions taking place. So could the kids be suspended for their actions? Given what I know, I don't think suspensions are in order, and certainly not expulsions, which are practically non-existent in California, no matter what you do. There appeared to be no ill intent here. I see nothing that indicates they were up to no good. They might have gotten a bit carried away. The fact that all this took place during lunch could change things dramatically. Was the learning environment disrupted at a time when no teaching was happening? Of course, you could always fall back on the argument that these students could have incited violent behavior, but I'm not sure that would fly. Students have rights, just like everyone else, and you could end up boxing yourself into a stance that alienates your community and gets your district sued. Here it seems that Beverly Hills Unified is a tad smarter than the average district, as they haven't taken any action that would compromise their bottom line, at least not yet. Some of the MAGA rabble are complaining that one of the school district staff members shoved them unnecessarily and even choked one of them. I will leave a link to a video where they voice their allegations. Also, I have linked in the description below the board meeting where the kids and some teachers spoke out about this incident. The link is time-stamped to the beginning of their public comments. Finally, one of the teachers claims that she was fired for voicing her complaints about the MAGA rabble's behavior. The school district vehemently disagrees. I have linked the article in the description below. I hope you liked my analysis. If you'd like to watch an analysis with a different take, as in mindless race baiting, stay tuned for part 3, where we listen to esteemed legal expert Rashad Ritchie weigh in and laugh. Like my video? and subscribe to my channel.